pain d'épices translates to spiced bread in French. Pain meaning bread and d'épices is spices. And it's more like a cake than bread. It's absolutely delicious. And I remember as a kid, Mum would make this recipe for us and we'd have it for afternoon tea with a little butter on it. Now to start with, we need a big bowl and we're going to add our dry ingredients. So some flour, and that's just plain flour. I'm not even going to sift that. Along with some caster sugar. We'll need 2 raising agents here, some baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, along with some bicarb, half a teaspoon, and a good pinch of salt. And just with a whisk, break everything up and incorporate it. Now for the spices. Lots of spices in this. We've got a combination of ground ginger, nutmeg, cinnamon and clove, and they can also go in with our dry ingredients. Again, giving that a mix to incorporate it. And I'll add some orange zest. When you're grating your orange, use a fine grater just like this one and work your way around the orange, making sure that we're not grating too much of the pith. If you grate the pith, then it's going to be bitter. We just want that beautiful perfume from the orange zest. And now for the wet ingredients. I'll just make a well in the center and we'll take the whisk out for a moment. I'll crack 2 eggs into the bowl. So 1 and 2. And break up those eggs and start to incorporate that. Some maple syrup, 125 mils of that. This is going to keep the cake super moist while it's cooking. Great. And we'll pour that in. And Mum didn't do this, but I think it's a lovely touch. I'm adding some Earl Grey tea. So I've brewed the tea and I've allowed it to cool. So into the bowl. And finally, some extra virgin olive oil. So the maple syrup is going to give this a nice moist crumb, but also the extra virgin olive oil is going to help with this, 120 mils. Okay. We'll incorporate that. Now we're going to incorporate the wet with the dry by slowly bringing in the sides. See how the wet ingredients are gripping on to the flour? That's coming together. See, no lumps. The perfect glossy batter. Smells so good. Now we'll place this into a loaf tin that I've lined with some baking paper. I've also left a little side on it. That makes it so much easier to come out. And we'll just pour that in. And this goes into the oven 180 degrees for about 50 minutes. How good does this spiced loaf look? It smells fantastic. I've allowed it to cool and now we can take it out of its tin. See how handy it is to have that excess baking paper? Just comes out seamlessly. And we'll remove that now. And look at the base, so sticky because of that maple syrup and that olive oil, just fantastic. The best thing about this bread, if you like, pain d'épices, is it lasts for a while. So you can have a few slices now, just wrap it up in some cling film and it'll last for a good few days. It'll actually taste even better. I'm going to take the end bit off. I'll eat that later. I actually like this center part here. See how moist that is? And I'm just going to cut a few slices. Pop that on the plate. And that's how I'd serve it for an afternoon tea, perhaps with an Earl Grey tea. That would be a lovely match. And you have to have butter with this loaf. I'm going to take a little slice, spread it over. Let's have a taste. This is my childhood right here. Afternoons by the TV, watching cooking shows, eating my mum's very delicious pain d'épices, very French.